Thanks for listening to the Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry, here to help educate, motivate, and put you on the right path to take control of your health through weekly discussions on topics in the medical field, public health arena, and in your community. And now your host, Dr. Barry.
What's up, everybody? Dr. Pierre here, your host of the Lunch and Learn, and I'm bringing you episode 71, which is a special episode. All the episodes I think are special, right? But this one's a little bit more special because this is the anniversary episode. This is the episode that marks 1 year since we started this whole podcasting journey, and we're still on the journey. We're still on the path. We actually just kind of started, especially when it comes to podcasting lifespan. We just started, and everything's on the up and up, and I want to talk to you about what's happening with the podcast, what's been going on this past year, and, again, I want to thank you guys. Your support has been absolutely amazing this past year, right? Again, I can't even, sugarcoat it, right? Definitely would not get to episode 71, right, if people weren't listening to episode 1 through 70, right? So appreciate all you guys' support, especially in the Lunch and Learn community, and let's get ready to, again, empower yourself for better health here with Lunch and Learn and Dr. Barry. Hey guys, Dr. Barry here. So, before we begin this episode, right, I again want to thank everyone who has ever listened to the episode, subscribed, left a review, shared it, told a friend to listen to it. You guys' support has been absolutely amazing. And this is a journey that I still can't believe that I was pump faking and didn't even want to get into it about a year or so ago. But here, as we approach, the anniversary year mark, which actually occurs on the 29th. But of course, we wanted to drop this podcast on a Tuesday. And I wanted to say what an amazing experience it has been, becoming a podcaster. And I remember when I first started out, the benchmark for if you are going to continue for the long run is if you made the year, right? Because a lot of people start out podcasting, and a lot of people start out with a few episodes. A lot of people start out consistent, and then for some reason they fall off, right? Whether they get too busy, whether, time just does not permit them to do it, where life just kind of happens. And I'm just excited to be able to say, yes, we're doing episode 71. And it's been such an amazing ride, kind of transitioning over from the blogging world and the live stream world to just the podcasting, right? Where I can essentially kind of talk to you guys one-on-one and talk about amazing health topics and, public health topics and, just random news that kind of comes to mind that I've been able to kind of impart some of my wisdom over the year. And I just hope to continue serving you guys for this upcoming season next year, where, and I say next year, it starts today, right? Again, you are listening to season 2 of the Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry, again, starting out on episode 72. And I think I want to kind of talk about what all transpired last year and what plans do we have for this upcoming year to really help take this podcast to season 3 on such a high note. And for those who have read, the affirmation 2016, you kind of know where I started. If you want a quick little cliff notes, go ahead and just listen to episode 1, and you'll see where I kind of talk about what the motivation was for even getting into podcasting. And the transition was difficult because, again, I was so used to blogging and doing the live stream that this was a whole new world, a whole new setup, whole new technology, and, just learning even the lingo, right? Just learning the lingo of the podcasting. And I remember I used to always say, Apple iTunes, I get my show on Apple iTunes when it was already like Apple Podcasts for a couple of months, right? So just those bumps in the road that I was able to kind of experience and go through has been an invaluable experience, especially as a physician who has always been looking for different ways to reach out and, instill the message of health, instill the message of well-being to the Lunch and Learn community, and just anyone who is willing to listen. Because as a physician, understanding that traditional way of, just waiting for your patient to come in your office, and that's when you kind of, educate them and, empower them to become better persons, right? That just really isn't, that isn't efficient anymore, right? Like there's way too many people who need help, right? There's way too many people who need to learn about their diabetes and their hypertension and their high cholesterol and stress and depression and anxiety and all these other different aspects of health that you can't really, especially if your goal is to serve, right? You can't really serve everybody, right? If you're just kind of stuck in that office. And that was really the prime motivator for doing the podcast. And it's something that's been invaluable because now I'm able to touch people in the way of blogging, right? I'm able to touch people in the way of live streaming. And now I'm able to touch people in the way of this audio format that people are definitely gravitating to. Again, every week we get amazing feedback from someone who says, you know what, I got a friend, a family member who was affected by what you talked about on the episode, and I'm glad you talked about it, right? Because again, for a lot of times, they're not necessarily hearing those who are in the profession kind of talk about the profession, right? Like that's something as a physician, right? I kind of get on my colleagues for, right? Like I think we do a good job at getting to the point where we're experts at being able to talk about the medical issues and the health issues in general, but we don't do a good enough job trying to tell the general public, right? And this is what this podcasting, allows me to do, right? It allows me to kind of get on here and, give you guys a good 15 to 30 minutes of educational information and able to listen to it at your own pace. And that's just been an amazing thing that I've been glad to be a part of. For this past year, right, we've done so many things, so many changes. And it's so funny. I was listening to some of my first episodes a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh, God, this sounded bad, right? And I remember just kind of being in the mood. I was being in the mood of just wanting to do it and wasn't going to allow any excuse, right, to let me not do it, right? And thankfully, again, 71 episodes later, I've gotten better, right? Like I've gotten better. I sound better. I'm more proficient with what I want to say, how I want to say it. And, it's just going to continue to grow. And now I'm known as the physician who blogs, the physician who does live streams, and now the physician who's a podcaster as well. So definitely excited to carry that, that title along with everything that goes along with it. And I want to kind of take this time to thank a couple of my coaches. I have a couple of coaches, but I have lots of coaches, right? For those who've been listening to the episode, I'm a big fan of coaches. So I want to, take the time to thank my coaches, right? Dr. Dreon Birch, who's been my life, business, whatever, like everything kind of under the sun coach. Like he's done, amazing things and, getting us to this point, as well as a podcasting coach, right? Because again, I'm the type of person where if there's experts out there who've already kind of done what I want to do, right, there's literally no point in me trying to learn through my mistakes, right? Like, no, they've already made the mistakes, so let me go to them, right? So I want to again thank Dr. Dreon Birch and my podcast coach, so used to calling everybody Dr. Raina Campbell, who is the host of Dreams and Drive podcast, an amazing podcast. If you like listening to interview style podcasts, hers is absolutely amazing, so go ahead and check that out, right? So because they've kind of helped get me to the point where again we could talk about season 2 and we can say we're 71 episodes in, right? And again, I know a lot of people who started this journey around the same time as me and they're not here, right? I know a lot of people who started this journey and get into the podcasting and they don't have 71 episodes, right? And there was this blip, especially in the beginning, right? Especially those who've been rocking with me since episode 1, right? Remember that first month, again, I was giving you, I think, a couple episodes a day, right? Because I wanted you guys to be, inundated with information and, health topics that you can kind of just sit back and say, okay, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to learn. And so as we move on to season 2, right, like I just hope to continue to bring that energy. Right, as we move on to season 2, I hope to continue to bring a much more expert guests. Towards the end of season 1, we started experimenting with having guests on the show, right? Because again, a lot of these episodes are solo, and I think I'm very fortunate being an internist where I happen to know a lot about a lot, right? That's just the internist way. But we brought some guests onto the show, and they've been absolutely amazing. And the feedback that I get when I get guests on the show has been such a positive effort. So I know in season 2, that's kind of the direction we're rocking, right? So again, because what changes are we going to bring in season 2, right? Season 2, definitely expect to hear much more guests on the show in terms of all different types of specialties. Definitely expect to hear more things like outside of the podcasting realm in terms of maybe like a live show here and there. We definitely plan to start doing like video formatting of the podcast, right? So again, even when I'm doing my solo episodes, I'm likely going to be recording it live, so you guys can kind of watch me record the podcast. Even, depending on what, you can even watch me edit the podcast if you want to stay that long. I mean, it's just something to help kind of bring you guys into the world of the podcasting realm here with the Lunch and Learn Dr. Barry, especially. And I want to just take this time out to thank the Lunch and Learn community. And I shot those people out a lot, because what separates my my regular listener from the Lunch and Learn community is my Lunch and Learn community members. They tend to be part of my emailing list. They tend to be a part of my private Facebook group. And again, a lot of it is still just trying to help with the goal of empowering everybody to help get their health like on the right track, right? Like that's really the goal, right? At the end of the day, if I can help one person, right, better their health, and one person, empower themselves, right, I've done my job, right? That's really my goal, right? My goal is one person at a time to help. Again, you know the motto by now: empower yourself for better health, right? Like that's really how we're rocking this year, right? In season 2 of the podcast, we're going to do much more of that. There's going to be much more motivational type podcast episodes, really encouraging guys to kind of get your foot through the door, right? Like get into action and get busy when it comes to your health. I plan on bringing, especially, and this is actually a very interesting dynamic, I'm actually going to be bringing some patients in, right? This is something I kind of hinted at I want to do during season 1, but just didn't really, have the space and time to kind of put them in there. But I want to bring some patients in there, right? And again, I want to bring people who have high blood pressure, right? People who have diabetes, right? People who suffer from, diseases that we hear about, we see about, but being able to put a face to that name is something that I want to do, right? Because I think it makes it more personable, right? And I think you tend to want to respect it a little bit more, right? Again, I talk about diabetes, and you hear diabetes all the time, right? But once you know a person who has had diabetes and they've been affected by diabetes, and you understand like what their day and day life is like with diabetes, right? Like it gives a better appreciation of the disease, right? So expect definitely a lot of positive things associated with the Lunch and Learn podcast. And that being said, right, if you have not had a chance, right, like I just released my new ebook, Power and Affirmation, go ahead to drpierresblog.com/power to pick that up. And in the book, you'll see that I'm actually referencing, doing more with the podcast, and actually adding an additional podcast to, the Lunch and Learn community, right? So we're planning on doing some amazing things with the Lunch and Learn community. We now have, t-shirts and wristbands, again, empowering yourself for better health. And in fact, depending on when you listen to this, right? If you're listening to this on the debuted episode, which is the 26th, right? We actually have our shop page opening up on drpierresblog.com, where you can pick up shirts, you can pick up the ebooks, and you can pick up, empowering wristbands, right? To try to get us in the right direction, get us motivated to make sure that 2018 ends up to be an amazing year for you guys, especially when it comes into your mental well-being and your physical well-being and everything kind of encompassing. And for my Lunch and Learn listeners, especially since you've been here from the beginning, right, I want to give you this special gift, right? Like for those who want to shop on, again, it'll all be on. The links will be in the show notes, right? drpierresblog.com/shop. I'm going to give you 25% off, right? 25% off your purchase. And the code is going to be LunchLearnPod25, right? Like all one word, 25. And you put that coupon code in and you get 25% off your purchase, right? And I wanted to do that again to really give my thanks, right, for getting me to year 2, right? Again, a lot of people don't make it to year 2, and you guys have been absolutely influential in making sure I get there. And that's where I want to end today's show, right? Like I said, it's a quick one. It's more of a a show that kind of gives thanks to you guys, right? You, the listener, who's been with me, whether this is your first episode, whether this is your 50th episode, or whether you're really one of those strong troopers, and this is your 71st, or I guess it's okay, 72nd, right? If you include my intro. If this is your 72nd episode, listen to me, right? I want to just thank you, and I hope to continue to serve you and empower you guys. And like always, if you need anything, feel free to contact me, drpierreblog.com. Hit the contact page, ask a question, and if there's something I can answer it on the podcast, I will do so. You guys have a great and blessed day. Bye. Thank you for getting to the end of the show. I am your host, Dr. Barry Pierre, host of the Lunch Learn with Dr. Barry, and this is another amazing episode that we like to bring to you week after week on betterment of empowering yourself for better health today. If you have not had a chance, please go ahead and subscribe to the show if this is your first time listening. If you already listen and you've already subscribed, make sure to leave me a 5-star review because your support is absolutely important in keeping the show moving as it is. And if you have not had a chance and you want to check out today's show notes, always head over to lunchlearnpod.com. That is lunchlearnpod, all in one word.com, and you can get the access to my show notes for every single episode, but especially the one you just listened to. And I'm gonna see you guys next week. You guys be blessed. Bye.